Bachelor?
I haven't watched
The Bachelor.
but
Tori wants us all to have a bachelor.
The Bachelor. Oh, yeah.
Hello, my friends. Andy coming to you live from Orange County, California. California. I was just going to say the USA Patriot Project, so I already had that on my mind. I was skipping ahead to my next line. What you're going to want to do is make sure and bookmark the US Patriot Project as we go forward in other broadcasts, much like what we're doing tonight, which is going to be one of our first in I'm sure, a series of investigative journalism exposés, if you want to call them, where we begin to look into some of the issues that are happening around our local area here in Orange County and California, and then across the United States. So it's going to be really important for you guys to know that as things begin to happen, things begin to rock and roll, as quite possibly many of us, especially those of us that are on a conservative Christian platform, are going to be silenced. And, it's just a matter of time. We're not thinking that, that this is not going to happen. We know it's going to happen. So make sure and go to the USPatriotProject.com. There's a place on there that you're going to want to sign in and make sure that you stay connected with us so that we can let you know where we're going to be broadcasting from. But tonight, we're going to be talking about an issue that's happening here locally. And as I've been talking about both on the devotional and past shows at the Andy Falco Show, is that one of the most important things is not just that we focus on the federal aspects of who we select for Congress and Senate, the president, and the bigger elections. That really we need to focus on our local races and who we have in political positions here, all the way down to the school board, city council members, mayors, representatives, and that kind of thing. And so this is kind of where I wanted to start in the first place when we talked about the U.S. Patriot Project and where we wanted to go, that our duty as an American, not as a Democrat, not as a Republican, not as an independent, but as an American, how is it that we're going to maintain our Constitution and who we are as a country under God? And that rubs people the wrong way. The fact that we want to keep America, and that we believe that America is the least racist country on the planet, that we believe that our Constitution is a work of art by geniuses at the time, that we would always working towards abolition in regard to slavery, that there's so much misinformation and so much craziness going on in our world that one of the things that I want to do with the U.S. Patriot Project is kind of put a lid on some of these things and really kind of, I don't know that we're going to be able to do this all by ourselves. We need help, obviously, but we need to look at some of these things that are going on. This issue that's happening right now here in the Yorba Linda, Brea, Placentia area is a political opponent of a school board member who got elected, is seemingly one of the people that is leading the charge for a recall or demanding the resignation of the person who won. And we're going to be talking about some of the issues. We're going to talk about, what my involvement is, or the show, the Andy Falco Show, what our involvement is, and mostly our involvement is the truth, finding the truth, and exposing some of the things that are just totally ridiculous. The one thing I have to tell you is that I know Leandra Blades, who is the person who won the election, who is on the school board, who is being attacked. And so I want to make sure that that's very clear. I do know her. I don't know I haven't known her for a long period of time, for maybe a year at this point. But I do know one thing. She's not the things that people are claiming that she is. That's what I do know for sure. And I do think on her conservative Christian platform, or her conservative platform that she ran on, or that not even necessarily that she ran on, but just who she is as a person, is in line with mine and many others, or else she wouldn't have been voted into that position. So it's super important. So I want to look at these things, and really look at the truth. If something comes out that I find that, Leander Blades is this horrible, racist terrorist that, hates, homosexuals, if I find that out, I will tell you, and I will be honest in that conclusion as I go on to investigate. So, let me first bring up, a couple things here just to get things started. I'll look at your comments in a minute, but the most important thing is that you guys comment. I don't care what you comment, good or bad or indifferent. The comments are important, because your comments is what's going to cause our broadcast to go out so other people can see it, especially locally, because I think it's important that people see what's happening in our area here in Yorba Linda, Placentia, Brea area. And so by your commenting is going to be important. Subscribing, liking, and sharing are all important. All right, so let's make sure that happens. All right, the one thing I want to make sure and address, because not everybody who's watching tonight knows who I am or what my history is, as far as, you know, my businesses and what I did as a police officer and that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure to give some legitimacy behind what it is that I do here at the show, and as I move forward in an investigative platform, why I have some legitimacy. At least I believe I do, and I'm going to make that case right now. So I think it's important first. Again, those of you that have listened to this several times, you've heard me give a little bit of my resume and my CV, so you may be a little bit bored at this. I'm not going to go on very long, but the important thing is for you to know and to understand is that I just didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express, or I didn't just wake up yesterday and say, you know, today I'm going to be an investigative journalist. There's a little bit more behind that. And so the investigative team at the Andy Falco Show is not just myself, but a few other people. All of us have a background in law enforcement on some level, in private investigations and counterterrorism. And that is like an overview of the entire team. Basic police investigations to advanced police investigations to federal investigations to counterterrorism across all the platforms in regard platforms in what I'm meaning is local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and abroad. True terrorism, not the BS terrorism that I'm hearing claimed about Leander Blades. No, real terrorism, terrorists who strap a bomb to their bodies and walk into a supermarket in Afghanistan and blow 100 people up. That kind of terrorism. And so we've investigated that kind of terrorism. Our team has. Myself, a police officer, 21 years in Anaheim Police Department. I was a sex crimes detective, and I was a family crimes detective. I also observed in the helicopter. I was on the SWAT team. I've trained police dogs all over the world and had contracts with countries across the world. I have, over the last 30 years, investigated criminal cases at the state level and federal level as a private person, investigating the wrongdoing of law enforcement. So not only have I been a proponent of law enforcement, I've been an opponent against law enforcement. I look at both sides, and I think that's a unique perspective, because you want somebody who is an expert who's been called into court over 100 times in federal and state court to come in with a point of view that I am not necessarily for law enforcement or against law enforcement. I am a neutral expert where I want to find the facts, and I will give you the facts. I will testify a police officer if I believe the police officer has been involved in any wrongdoing. I will testify for a law enforcement officer if I believe that they are correct in what it is they've done. My overall years and experience of doing this has given me a unique perspective of investigating law enforcement over the years, and I've been quite successful at doing that. And I continue to do it. And so that is important for you to know. Hedia Maramati is an attorney who is a practicing attorney and who and also has been involved in counterterrorism, has worked under 5 presidents, both Democratic presidents and Republican presidents, part of the team, and then a number of other people that will be involved in this investigation as we move forward. So that's a little bit of a history. You're not looking at a reporter who suddenly becomes an investigative reporter who has no history of discerning between the different lies that both the suspect can give you, that the victims can give you, and the witnesses can give you. Discerning between the truth and a lie is an important aspect of doing this, that simply believing somebody just because of who they are is not trying to get to the truth. Trying to get to the truth is getting to the truth and looking at all avenues as you go forward, and really concentrating on what it is that your role is. Your role is determining the truth as we move forward. So this investigation is being handled by people that have a great deal of experience in doing this and will call out a person, even though in appearance or at the first blush may be what some people may say are on the same side. So I want to make sure that that's very clear as we move forward. And this is just an introduction. This show that I'm doing tonight is going to be an introduction of what it is we plan on doing as we begin to go deep, as we begin to investigate the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District in this matter, as we begin to investigate the Yorba Linda High School in this matter, and the teacher involved and all the other people that are involved in this recall. Our intention is to go deep and find out and expose everyone about the truth in this matter. And it may go a little bit deeper than really people want us to go into, but that is our goal, that we're going to find out who is behind all this, because what I've heard so far and what I've been called in the process and simply given an interview to Leandra Blades just so that she could tell her story. I've been attacked. I've been called a terrorist. I've been called a bigot. I've been called names that I'm not going to tell you on this podcast. And I've been drugged through the coals simply because I interviewed her and I happen to know her. And it's lunacy when somebody calls me a terrorist, a racist, a bigot, not knowing who I am and do not know my history and do not know my family and don't know my background. It really is crazy when we get down to it. So as we move forward, we're going to definitely look forward to exposing everybody involved in this to the best that we can. If you are clean, then you are clean. If you are not, we will make sure and find out whether you're clean or not. All right, Carol, nice to see you. I cannot share to my group. Nice. Oh my gosh. Silence. Never. I'm not going to be silenced. I cannot share because I have a conservative page. Conservatives are banned. Wake up, America. This is wrong. This is where we're going. And this is why this is important. Well, I did not know all that background you have. Very impressive. Well, thank you. It's an extensive background because I've been around, unfortunately, for a very long time, but I've taken advantage of the opportunities I've had and this been handed to me. And so, now in this case, we're going to make sure and expose those people, especially this teacher who seems to be seemingly out of control. I don't know for sure, but we're going to find out for sure. And if we'll find out whether everything on her CV or resume is true. I've heard some things to the contrary. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not telling you that's not true. I'm just telling you that's one of the things we're going to look at because we've been told that there's some possibility that her background is not necessarily what she claims that it is. But we'll definitely find out. So let me look at let's look at a couple things as we move forward. We have been given some information. We know that there's been recordings of this teacher, that she is making some very derogatory statements about Leandra. She's made some claims about Leandra, and she's made some claims again about the people who are surrounding her. Made claims about people that are around her. And so what is this all about? What really the crux of the whole thing when we begin to look at this thing, why does this person who lost to Leandra, a political opponent, suddenly want to become the person that brings her down? What is that? Right? It's obvious. Right? It is obvious. When you lose to somebody and now you become vindictive in your attempts to have her recalled or to show that she's a terrorist or to show that she's a spreader of the COVID-19, what does that have to do with her role as the school board member? Now, surely you could say, well, these things point to her inability to be teaching our children, or not teaching it, but being responsible for our children's education. Really? Is that so? Have any of the people that are on the board, have any of them gone to Costco? Have any of them gone out and gone for a walk out there amongst other people? Have they gone to Starbucks? Or have they stayed in their house this entire time? I want to make sure that if you are saying that a person that is on the school board or works for the school cannot leave their home, and that is the standard, then none of the school board members can leave their home. And we could look at people like Nancy Pelosi or Gavin Newsom, that they are telling people to stay home, but yet they go out to restaurants. Here is the hypocrisy and stuff, right? And so we want to make sure and understand that you're making these claims that because Leander went out and traveled, as many people are traveling today for business, for legitimate reasons, for vacations, to see family members, to go to family members who have passed away, to their funeral maybe, or go to comfort somebody who lost somebody, that suddenly, now we can't travel. So that because Leander traveled when thousands and thousands of people are traveling every day, that because she traveled, now she cannot be a school board member. I really don't think that is a legitimate thing. But what you're doing as this teacher and the people that are supporting this teacher is that you're trying to say that now suddenly she cannot be a school board member. She must resign today because she got in a plane and went to Washington, D.C. So that is your argument. Very bizarre, very strange. So I just wanted to make sure that this is very clear as we move forward, that we're going to be looking at these things and really trying to figure out what it is that's really truly behind this. And it's not a legitimate recall as far as I can tell so far based on what I have. And again, we're receiving tons of things almost every day. We're receiving things through my text messaging. As I began to put out this broadcast, I suddenly got more information about other people that know things about this teacher and know things about the people that are also included in this attempt to recall and to force her to resign. By the way, she's not going to resign. You know why? Because I'm not going to let her resign. And a number of people will not let her resign. Not that she needs us to force her not to, but I don't believe that she is going to resign. So let's look at these things. There's a lot of comments coming in just one second. Let me just go through some of these things that we're going to look at. And so I give you the investigative team. So we talked about that. So our team, which includes myself and Hidea Miramati and a number of other people, I got private investigators. I ran a private investigation company for years. I had 500 employees, a security company where we did security for Comic-Con, security for Stagecoach, for what's the other one? The big one that they have. Coachella Fest. And so just understand that I have experienced both in the law enforcement sector. Again, I've trained dogs for countries, police dogs for countries. I've investigated countries. I've investigated police officers across the United States and in Canada. I've been found to be an expert both in Canada and in the United States. And then we have our other team. So I just want to make sure that I just want to finish up on that point. Is the teacher actively recruiting students against her opponent in the last election? And that is what's happening. And so that's what we're going to find out. I already know the answer to that. Yes, she is. We have recordings where we hear the teacher actively recruiting students in the school where she has been entrusted to not recruit them for her political purposes, to demean her opponent who she simply lost against. You should have been a better opponent. Just simply be better. Don't now be a whining baby and try to recruit children within the school that you've been entrusted to educate. What you're doing, and again, I don't know if this is illegal or not, but we're going to find out. But here you are, a teacher, here she is, a teacher, is actively recruiting students that she's been entrusted with for education, not for the recruiting. What kind of word is that? The recruiting for helping her overturn an election that she legitimately lost. All right. So that's what we're looking into. And that's what we see already with the things that we've already received. Is this an act of revenge just because she lost? Absolutely. From what I see right now, I can tell you that I feel fairly confident that this is an act of revenge. How deep is this revenge? How far does it go? Who else is involved in this revenge? We don't know, but we're going to find out. Is teaching children that conservative Christians are terrorists, racist, homophobic, bigots, healthy for our country? Absolutely not. And so we need to find out how does the school district, how does the school feel about a teacher? And we know this is happening across our country, right? We know that this is one of the problems in our universities. We know this is a problem in our colleges. Do we want this happening in our high schools? That we here in Orange County, in particular, are I have children that range from first grade up to junior high, and then I have a child who's out of school and working. But I have several children. They range all the way from the elementary school all the way into the junior high and will be entering high school next year. And do I want my children being taught, who are conservative children at this point, do I want them being taught that conservatives, their dad, is a conservative Christian. Their mom, who I'm divorced from, but their mom is a conservative Christian. My fiance, who's a conservative Christian. Do I want my children going to school being taught by a teacher that their parents are terrorists, racist, homophobic, bigots, and I missed a comma, and unhealthy for our country. Let's just go with that. No, the answer is no. And so I want to know during this investigation, what's the school's role in supporting a teacher who's teaching our students this? I want to know what the school district's role is in teaching our children about this type of thing. That's going to be an important part of this investigation as we move forward. Are her actions creating a dangerous environment for conservative students? It clearly is one of those things when you have even the administration or the teachers saying that anybody who believes in conservative Christian values, policies for a school are dangerous. If they're saying that they're racist, that they're terrorists, how safe can that be for the children that are from a conservative Christian value, who go to church on a regular basis? And people know we go to church because we wear crosses or we wear a shirt, and maybe they will no longer be able to wear a shirt that says Jesus Christ is my Savior. Maybe they won't be able to wear a certain type of jewelry that shows their Christian faith. Is this going to be this time in our country's history where a conservative Christian can no longer show, it was afraid to show their faith because they're going to be demonized, or they're going to be tortured, or they're going to be bullied in school? Is this what's being promoted in our school? And this is one of the things that we need to look at. This is where it starts. Again, when I talk about looking into a local standpoint, is this just one aspect of a bigger systemic problem within our school system? Is this beginning to creep into our school? Is this teacher just one little hint of what our school is going to be all about as we move forward, or our school district is all about? I hope not, but we're going to find out as we move forward. And I've drafted a letter that I'm sending to the school district and to Yorba Linda School. I may send it to the other schools and to our school board. And I've asked for them to come on camera so that I can interview them, or I'll go to them and I will take my microphone and my team, and we'll go there and we'll interview them. I want to hear what their thoughts are on this teacher teaching our children, who is actively participating in a recall because they're claiming that this conservative Christian is a terrorist and a bigot and a homophobe. I want to find out how they feel about that, and I want to find out what they're going to do about it. If they're not going to do anything about it, then we're going to find out. All right. What has Yorba Linda High School encouraged and discouraged? There, that's what I just said. Sorry. Does Yorba Linda Unified School District encourage or support this behavior from this teacher? We're going to find out. What are the teacher's credentials? Are they legit? Was she truthful in her application, on her resume or her CV? We're going to try to find that out. Really important things. Let me come back to the comments really quick as I move forward. And I hope all of this is being clear as we're forward. This is our job as parents. I am a parent of children that are currently in the school district, the Placentia Yorba Linda School District. Do I want them being attacked because of their conservative Christian values? Absolutely not. Do I want them to understand that there are people that do not necessarily believe in what they believe in, and we can live together, we can work together, we can go to school together, we can make decisions together, and find some commonality between the two arguments of what is conservative and what is liberal, and find out how it is that is what our schools are supposed to do, is to teach people how to work together, how to come together, how to make decisions together, even though they may not get along on a personal level. But they're going to be working together once they graduate from high school at some point, unless we're going to be all canceled out, unless it's no longer legal to be a conservative Christian, which is what they're trying to move towards. If that's the goal, we're certainly moving that direction. But my job as a conservative Christian is to not allow that to happen. And so we're going to not legitimize this. Now, I think she teaches English or English literature, I believe. I don't know exactly what it is she teaches. And Angie says, I'm considering taking my kids out of the district because of her tactics with minors and telling them to keep it a secret. Absolutely. That's definitely what I've heard. I'm not going to go, as you can tell, I'm not going into too much detail. I'm just sharing with you what I, on the top, because, we're going to find out a little bit more. I don't want to show our hand completely because I would love to talk to the school district supervisor. I would love to talk to the principal over at Yorba High School. I would love to talk to the teacher, and talk to her and find out what she has to say about all this stuff. I have her on audio. I've heard what she's told the student, what she wants to do, and I'm going to share some of those things in just a minute. And so I want to hear and see what she has to say about this. Did you not mean what you said what you were telling the student that you were talking to? Did you not mean that we're going to find other students that we can go after her and find dirt on Leandra? Did you not mean that when you said that? I heard you say it. How does the school district feel about her trying to find students to go out there and find dirt on Leandra? How do they feel about that? Is that what they want their students learning from their teacher? I don't know. If they do, then we're going to have a discussion. So thank you, Sherry, for that. I'm concerned too. Absolutely concerned. None of us should want teachers manipulating and coaching our kids to do anything. Absolutely, Hedia being a part of the team. 100% Leandra should not have to resign, will not resign. You have so many people that back you. Geneva, thank you so much for writing that. Hey, Carl, I see you. This is a form of being bullied from the party of tolerance. Absolutely. All right. So there's a really long comment. I'll look at that one and just say, Angie, thank you for sharing. All right. So let me look at a couple things here. And this is the thing that I need to look at. And you need to understand when we're looking at somebody right now who appears to be trying to force their opponent to resign through intimidation and threats. One of the threats actually is wishing that Leandra would die. That is actually one of the threats. And this, I believe, is coming from a student. Now, I can't say that with 100%, but I'm pretty sure that this is what happens when you have a teacher that is become enraged that she simply lost an election. And so now that she's now manipulating these children and putting thoughts and ideas in their mind that Leandra is a terrorist, that she is a bigot, that she is a homophobe. These are all things that she's been called, by the way. And now you have somebody wishing that she would die. Where are we in this world? What happened to teachers teaching kids the reading, arithmetic, right? How to spell, how to, again, get along with others, how to play well with others, how to organize and plan with even people that you don't necessarily have the same faith with, that you are not of the same color, that you are not of the same sexual preference, whatever that is. The job of the teacher is to teach people how to get along, not to how to separate and hate one another. This is exactly against what I believe the teacher is supposed to be doing, teaching children to hate one another. Because, and again, she go, I'm just saying that Leandra is a terrorist. I just saying that she's a bigot. But what you're doing is saying she's a bigot and she's a terrorist because she's a conservative. Very clearly. Because I'm seeing and hearing what you said on the recording. It has very little to do necessarily about just Leandra. It's the fact that she is a conservative Christian that you hate. It's actually that you hate that you lost, really, than more than anything else. All right, so let's look at a couple of these things that we're going to point to. And that is first, is this based on her job performance? When you're talking about having somebody resign or attempt a recall on somebody, I believe that the most important thing is that you're doing that because their job performance is poor. Right? You've already gone through the election in a person that's been elected to office. You've already gone through a period of time. You know, as the voter, and again, you being the voter or you being the opponent, you've had the opportunity to bring up somebody's past. You've had the opportunity as a voter to Google somebody or DuckDuckGo somebody or to whatever other search engine you're going to use to find somebody. You've had the opportunity to possibly get a hold of them and talk to them and say, hey, I want to find out what your stance is on these things. I want to find out who you are. What have you done? What do you have anything in your past as a police officer that somebody might bring up that may cause you some difficulties going forward? Well, I was involved in a shooting, or I was involved in an accident, or I was involved in this, and you discuss it and you talk about it. Every voter has the opportunity to do this with this person. I know that Leandra went and knocked on doors and talked to people. as she's knocking on the door, and you open the door and you see, hey, Leandra, you're running for school board. Tell me more about you. Tell me about your history. Have you ever been divorced? Have you ever been separated? You can have that opportunity. But here you have somebody that's trying, but it's not based on their job performance. How do I know that? The request, not the request, the demand of resignation and the bringing up of a recall is not because of her job performance. Why? Because they've only had one meeting. And the other meeting that they possibly was the next time that they were going to meet. So it's definitely not on job performance. There's nothing that Leandra has done at this point to show that she's incompetent as a school board member. Nothing. She's not made any changes. She's not voted in on necessarily, as far as I know, any policies that put your children in danger, that has caused anything. Now, again, we all have beliefs. And I'm going to speak for myself, not Leandra. All right. Understand this right from this point. For this point, I'm speaking to myself. As a conservative Christian, I do not believe that we should be teaching sex education to kindergartens. Now, the word on the streets is that in California, that is one of the possibilities that kindergartens would be taught sex education about sodomy, about where to go for an abortion, about other issues in regard to where about gender transition. All these things have been spoken about and are legitimately have been spoken about within what they're going to teach our kids in school. I am against that personally. Now, if I was a school board member, because I'm against that, you can't say that Andy cannot be on the school board because he does not like that. As we begin to vote, this is why there's more than one. If I was the king of the school board, then of course, then I would be saying that's not going to happen. But that is why we have a democracy, because it's a number of people. It's who we voted in who now are in that position with other people that have been voted in, and you come to a conclusion. What is it that we want? What is it we don't want? How we're going to vote? And that is what a democracy is. Right. And just because somebody believes a certain way, that does not mean you can have them recalled or you attempt to have them resign through pressure and through name calling and false accusations just because they don't believe what it is you believe. I believe in God. You don't believe that there's a God. We can still get along. We can still go into a vote together and make a decision based on our votes and move forward after that and become friends and go to lunch and have a potluck. That is possible. That is what a democracy is. But her job performance is not the thing that she should. There's nothing. There's no job performance issue. All right, next. When you have to dig up dirt. So this is one of the quotes that we heard that this teacher made to the student. Again, I'm reminding you that this is a student that we're talking about that she was talking to, is that, hey, we need to find people that can dig up dirt. Now, if you have to dig up dirt in order to have somebody voted out or a recall done, or that you are trying to force them to resign, again, What happened to you had the opportunity to dig up dirt. You had the opportunity to ask them. If you have to dig up dirt, nobody's going to survive. Nobody's going to make it through any period of time as an elected official. You want us to start digging up dirt? Well, we're going to be more than happy to dig up some dirt. If that's how you want us to, as voters, as citizens of the United States, that after we've had the opportunity to vet people through all the ways that we have to vet people before we vote them in, that is our opportunity. When we have debate, we have opportunities to speak to them. That is our opportunity to do that. Once we've made the vote and they've been elected, you have to wait until the next election to vote them out. This idea that suddenly now that we can force people to leave and through intimidation by calling them names and making up crap is because you lost, you loser, is not legitimate. This is not a legitimate way to handle this situation because of whatever, that you have to now dig up dirt. You could have dug up dirt earlier. Even that is wrong. I'm just telling you, now that they've been voted in, now you're using students, children that you've been entrusted with to dig up dirt for your opponent so that you can now take their place is not the way to handle this. Accusations are hodgepodge. The accusations, what I mean by this, accusations are hodgepodge, is that what they're doing is they're saying, well, she went to Washington, D.C. at a Trump rally, so that's why she shouldn't be a school board member. Okay, that's not enough. Okay, she was at the rally and somebody asked her to hold a fire extinguisher and she said no. Well, she should have gone to DHS. She should have made a full report to the FBI, right? When you're surrounded by thousands of people, you got hundreds of things that are happening around you that you think that this guy who said, "Hey, hold my fire extinguisher," is going to go break into the Capitol building. You thought the next thing he do was going to do something horrible with it. The idea that is the thing, it's hodgepodge. It's just you're grabbing for things. That she stood next to somebody that was wearing that was waving a Confederate flag. She was standing next to, and I don't know that she was. I'm just telling you, the possibility that she was just standing there is not a legitimate reason for her to have to resign or to start a campaign against her, because that's hodgepodge. That has nothing to do with what you elected it for. You see what I'm saying? That on a podcast that she may have said something that you don't agree with. Or again, that she doesn't agree with you on something as a reason to have her resigned or to force her resign. These are hodgepodge reasons. It's not a legitimate reason. She didn't go into the school board meeting and fly off the handle and say all children under 16 are horrible people. Right? She didn't do that. None of that has ever happened. When you're grasping at things and you're hodgepodge about your reasonings why she shouldn't be a school board member is not a legitimate reason for what it is you're doing. And for anybody, even for a Republican against a Democrat, it is not a way to handle the situation, because we see that all the time. We see their hair is combed on the left instead of the right. They need to be voted out. Oh, they go to this certain church, or they're Jewish, or they're Muslim, or they're whatever. When you begin to do that, we can begin to find all kinds of reasons to not have somebody be a political hold a political position after they've won and we have lost. And so these reasons are, again, hodgepodge and not based on legitimate reasons to have somebody voted out. Where am I at? I hope I'm on number 4. Accusations are hyperbolic. Hyperbolic, being, something that really seems to be, an epidemic in our country. When we begin to use language that is exaggerated, when we begin to use things to make claims about somebody because they're a conservative Christian or a liberal Democrat or whoever they are, and now you begin to say, well, that means that X, that means Y. And we begin to go to these high areas of what they're truly not, or quite possibly have not demonstrated that yet, right? We jump to conclusions and we become hyperbolic in order to make the person sound bad before they've demonstrated the fact that they're bad. It is what we call hyperbolic, that you're exaggerating, that this never even happened. Right? When they're calling Leandra a terrorist, did she strap a bomb on and walk into a market in Washington, D.C.? No. Did she write a note that she hates all whatever people and say that she was going to kill them? No. None of that happened. You're being hyperbolic. And so this hyperbole that is occurring right now is not a legitimate reason for trying to force somebody to resign or begin a campaign to have them removed from office. Because every accusation that I've heard is hyperbolic or hodgepodge, by the way. These are some of my favorite words, in addition to, shenanigans. And then the last thing is that this effort seems to be led by a loser opponent, led by the loser opponent. When you are looking at the accusations, when you are looking at the reasons whether this is legitimate, one of the things that we would look at as an investigator, who is the person that's making these accusations? So if I in a sex crimes case, when I was a detective, I suddenly get this case that comes across my desk about a child being molested by their father. Is the witness or the person making the statement, somebody that can be trusted to make such a statement? How much weight can be carried by the person who's making this accusation? And when we look at the person, we say, well, this person is the teacher of the child, who has seen a change in the child's mood. The child went up and said, hey, these areas are uncomfortable, or, my dad touched me in a way that is not, I feel is right. Right. And so when you hear that from a teacher, you're thinking, all right, this is pretty legitimate. As opposed to, not saying that this is a discount of truth, but I'm just telling you, one of the things you look at is now when the disgruntled ex-wife, who they're in a very heated divorce, makes an accusation of the father being the child's molester. Now you got to look at, all right, well, let's look at this a little bit closely. A little bit more closely. And you see the reporter of the crime is very important. You know, some people, well, it shouldn't be. We're going to look at that. You know, no matter what, we need to look at this man as evil and he needs to go to jail. Well, do we? Right? We can all agree, right? That when we have somebody that has nothing to lose, has nothing to gain, who is making the accusation, can be trusted in most cases more highly than somebody that has something to gain by the rest of the person, right? In order to get custody of the child or to get more money because they have this accusation. Do you see what I'm saying? And so when you look at the individual who's making the report, what do they have to gain? So that's a very long explanation to get back to this point right here, where I'm talking about that this recall, the accusations that this person needs to resign, is being led by the person who lost. And I think that needs to be looked at. Is this a legit recall? We're going to look at that because that calls into question the legitimacy of this effort for her to recall, to be recalled and to be forced out of office. And so we look at all these things as an investigator. These are just some of the things. These are all I can fit on that particular slide. There's more, but those are the ones that we're going to look at as we move forward. So do you see how we look at this? We have the accusations, all the things that are happening. We look at who's reporting it and that kind of thing. And we look at the person's background and what can they be trusted. These are really important issues that need to be looked at. Let me get to some of the comments that are coming up, and there's a lot of them. Wow. All right, hold on. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of them, and I apologize. But I hope this all makes sense. Again, if in this investigation we find out, well, Leandra is a racist. Wait, she is a terrorist. Oh, as a matter of fact, that she was, seen at a meeting of terrorists and where they were practicing their terrorism. Whoa, we need to look at this because it's not good, which is not going to happen, by the way. I'll definitely tell you, that this is not just a one-way investigation, but I'm telling you what I've seen already is enough for me. All right. So Angie says, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to read this all because I'm not sure if it all shows up. Scientifically, it is known that kids don't have the prefrontal lobe fully developed. That is what controls abstract and critical thinking. It is fully formed in the 20s and by age 22. Therefore, issues such as this has no place in our primary education forum. These things are covered at the college level. What the hell is she doing indoctrinating our kids? Absolutely. Thank you for that. Come on, man. This has been going on since the early 70s. Well, I know. Oh, yes. Hey, Renee, thanks. I appreciate that so much. I really appreciate that, Renee, so much that I have your support. Andy's saying that she and her dolars have crazy views. Is this what she will tell our kids? That their moms and dads are wackos and for what we believe? That's my concern. Dave Vargas has to say, I wonder if these kids were getting better grades for posting false accusations against Leandra. They may be getting extra credit and may be able to not show up for their class once in a while. Let me look. I'm going to skip. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to skip some of you that have some really good comments, but another supporter here, Brenda says, 100% support Leandra. She has done nothing wrong. We voted her in because we want someone who represents the parents. Absolutely. Can't bring aspirin to school, but you can get an abortion before the final bell. Yeah, well, that's what we're hearing here in California. She stated that she is proud of students who are interested in current events and peaceful activism. One thing is to be proud, another is giving them ammunition to dig up dirt, take screenshots of people's profiles who support Leandra and provide them to the minors, directing them to her political page to find info how to make Leandra resign or recall. Yeah, that's an important issue. Again, there are so many issues that just in the sake of time and the sake of not showing my entire hand of all the information that I have, because if the school district does give me the opportunity to interview the supervisor or the principal at Yorba High School if I get the opportunity to interview the teacher and ask her. There are things that we want to hold back because we want to make sure that we can either discredit what they're saying or confirm what they are saying to be true. And so it's really important. And those are some of the things that I have definitely have heard, and I've definitely seen them in action. I have had witnesses who have been put in this position where they're pitchers because they support Leandra. These are kids, by the way. The teacher has taken and given the pictures of the kids who have supported Leandra and told the other students who are against Leandra to post them. And then again, the fact that they're having the students try to dig up dirt is simply unbelievable. All right, my friends. And so that is the case to this point that I just wanted to lay out to you. I wanted to let you know at the beginning who is investigating it, and I gave you our background for doing that. I wanted to share with you some of the things that we're hearing and some of the things I have personally heard myself on recordings, private recordings that have been given to me. And then some of the things that when you look at the legitimacy of trying to force somebody to resign is lunacy. But also the legitimacy of trying to get a recall started. Those issues are just not legitimate. They're clearly not legitimate. And I don't think that, again, I'm being unreasonable. I think these are common sense issues. Let me just go through. I'm just going to show you one more time, and just to make sure that you're understanding me, that when we're talking about the legitimacy, right, you can always vote somebody. If you don't like the way that they're handling things, you vote them out. If you don't like the votes that they have made, and maybe they've never won one because they're so outlandish that the other people always outvote them, that's what makes this a democracy. And so when you have somebody that over a period of time that continue, like Joe Biden has always voted on the wrong side of stuff. If you just look at his history, right? I don't know. Nobody understands why he's never been voted out, but you can choose to keep him in power or you choose to vote him out. That's always the option. That's why we live in the country that we live in, is that we have this opportunity of democracy. But just because she simply doesn't have the same views as you does not mean that you make up lies about somebody in order to force them to resign, nor is it a reason to start a recall and to just bring havoc into our school and our school system because they simply don't think like you do or believe in the things you believe in. And so here are the things that I talked about earlier. Is it based on job performance? Absolutely not. She has not done anything yet for it to be based on job performance. And when you have to dig up dirt, the dirt that you weren't able to dig up when she was running is not a reason to recall her. Accusations that are hodgepodge, as I've demonstrated, that they're just all over the place. They have no reasoning, rhyme or reason. They're not even connected. That's what makes them hodgepodge. The accusations are hyperbolic. You've taken somebody's statement and you've made it greater or you've exaggerated this point to somehow make it that in your mind legitimate is not a legitimate reason to recall, and that it's led by the loser, the opponent, is not make it legitimate. If you are the loser, you are just a loser and live with it. You are not. It is not legitimate as the loser, then try to get the person to resign or try to get them recalled. That is not a legitimate reason to use any of those. It is simply be better. And to be a better opponent next time and to be a better person running for office, not to be a poor loser. But that is what we have happening here. At least that's how it appears. And so we'll be looking more into that. All right. I'm going to look at a couple more comments here before I sign off. Oh my gosh. They're already cooking dinner in the kitchen. It's starting to smell good. Something's cooking, or something's burning. One of the two. Let's see. Trying to incite liberal students to go after conservative students, providing their ID information. It's appalling. Karen, thank you. Yes. Again, I'm hearing all this stuff. You're absolutely right. There's so much. I have so much information that it's just it's drinking from a fire hose. The information, the accusations against this teacher, against a little bit of the school, and some things I'm finding about the school district is just simply alarming. My kids are in the school system, and I'm more than happy to lead the effort or be part of the effort. I don't know that I necessarily am leading it. There's a lot of people behind. If I could tell you how many people that are a part of this investigation, it would shock you because it's all going to come out. People that don't even think right now that they think they're safe, they are probably not going to be safe. Well, this is just evil. I feel for her. I'm not in the area, but she has my support. Thank you, Priscilla. I appreciate that so much. One last one. Michelle says here, it's not a high school teacher's job to divulge her political beliefs. Open dialogue with an open mind and objective discussion is the only appropriate setting for these tender aged kids. The PYLUSD needs to stop this blasphemy. Absolutely. That is what really one of the things that needs to come of this is that when you see a teacher taking this type of stance, and that's one of the reasons why a student probably shouldn't run for, a teacher should not run for office. This is one of the problems that we're running into. This teacher is running in office. If she were going to win, my understanding is that she would resign as a teacher and then move forward as a school board member. But here we have now the loser teaching our kids to hate conservatives. That is not what we hired her for as the parents of this particular school district. Let's not forget she was demoted as principal last year. Well, we're going to look into all this stuff as to why this is all happening. All right, my friends, I hope this has been educational for you in the sense that this is what we're going to do moving forward. Again, so much information is coming in. I'm not sure how soon my next report on what it is that we're doing and what we found out and what the response is to the letter that we'll be sending to the school district, to the school board, to Yorba school principal, and to the teacher requesting an interview to find out what their position is on what's happening and what this teacher is doing and what she's doing to the students. Once I get that information, as more information is being sent to me, it's going to take a bit to kind of organize it so that it can kind of make sense as to putting it out into a broadcast like this. And so hopefully we'll bring that to you. The goal would be to squash all of this so that we can go on to making our school one of the best schools on the planet. Should be the goal. The goal should be putting people into position, the school board members, and then the school district into position to make our school fantastic for our kids, to teach them about arithmetic, about U.S. history, about reading and writing, and how to work together with people that are not like you. That is the goal. And that's what they should leave with, that type of thing. And moving forward, that's what we want. If that can happen, then we'll see where we go from here. But right now it looks like that the school district, at least at this point, is allowing it to happen. Yorba School is allowing it to happen. And so we're going to see what their reaction is, with our, request for an interview and see how they feel about it. All right. I was just kind of, stringing things along because there were some good things coming in here. Oh, here we go. Karen says, I've heard a lot of parents starting to speak out about issues they've had with Susan. Oh, that's the name of the teacher, by the way. Their kids in the past. Sounds like an ongoing issue that needs to be addressed. Absolutely. All right, my friends. So that's it for me, reporting to you on this investigative expose that we're beginning. We have the right team to do this, that has a great history and far bigger crimes than this. But this is a crime against our kids that needs to be addressed. All right, my friends. Love you guys. God bless. Take you later. Talk to you later. Take you later. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.